going on? Jeff Hardy here. I just want to let you know you're listening to Road Trip After Hours with Mac Davis and WWE Hall of Famer Teddy Long. Rock on.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mac Davis, your host for Wrestling's Road Trip After Hours. And, of course, my co-host, as he is every single week, nobody better than WWE Hall of Famer, Mr. Peanut Head, Teddy Long.
So you just had to get that in.
Let me ask you, Teddy, I'm curious, where did Peanut Head come from?
Well, when I first started managing, back at the time, I think when I got with Butch Reed and Ron, they were working with the Midnight Express, who was managed by Jim Cornette. And so they were looking for something to try to say to me or something, that would, get some heat on them or, get heat on me. So they was thinking, and me and Cornette were just standing around. And so I just told him, I said, well, Cornette, I said, when I was a little kid, I had a nickname. They called me Peanut. I said, you want to use that? He said, oh, yeah, that's great. That's Peanut Head. And so Cornette is the one started the Peanut Head, but I did tell him that was my nickname when I was a little boy. So that's how the Peanut Head got started.
Well, you also had another nickname, too, which was Tilo.
Some fan gave me the Tilo name. I don't know where that started, but some fans started calling me that.
I believe it was Taz and John Cena would nickname you Tilo. I never knew why, but I knew I heard him say Tilo. Like,
yeah. Well, I got a little action doll figure that I named Tilo. It's me. It's a doll of me, and I carry him with me everywhere I go. So he's like my good luck piece.
Let me ask you, did you get a chance?
And you know what, Mac, I want to ask you too. I was gonna, because this was something that I used to do on another podcast I had. Tilo was was the mascot, and so if it's okay with you, I think I'll talk to Tilo and see if he wants to come on the show and be our mascot.
I think you should. You should. Last night, I had, as we're recording this is on a Thursday, but last night, of course, being Wednesday, was AEW Dynamite. And during the show, there was a surprise shout out of type to Teddy Long. Teddy, did you get to see the video for that by any chance?
No, I didn't get to see it. I heard something about it this morning. Nick Haas called me from over at Wrestling Inc. and he said MJF mentioned me, said he was cutting promos like he was the GM, and at the end he said player.
Yeah, he was trying to make a match, and he goes, and that's what the match is going to be, player. And I was like, here we go, a shout out. I mean, that to me, again, reinforces just how much you meant to the wrestling business, that people, no matter what, when they make a match, especially if it's a tag team match or a big match against a big individual, they're going to thank Teddy Long if they've been in the wrestling business even for half a day.
Exactly, man. And let me say, let me give a big shout out to MJF, man. Thank you so much, player. I appreciate that. And I had a chance to actually meet him, man. What a real nice guy, man. So I'm a big fan of him and CM Punk.
Oh, MJF's a piece of shit.
Well, that's you. That's you. I'm just speaking more out my opinion.
I'm just teasing. I don't need heat from MJF. That's for sure. Hey, look, you had a great weekend last weekend. I know I kind of kept up with you a little bit as you were in South Carolina. You want to talk about that?
Well, we had a great time there. We was at the Greenville, South Carolina Comic-Con there, and I supposed to meet the one before that one, but the pandemic got it, so I didn't make that one. But I made this one, and I was there along with the legendary Jeff Hardy and Scott Steiner, and Dan Severn. I can remember. I know I seen him, and they had a lot of other people there that were some movie stars, maybe with the Star Wars and Ninja Turtles, I think it was. But anyway. We had a great time, man. Just enjoyed meeting all the fans. And I mean, my line didn't stop, man. People were right there constantly, and Jeff had a big line right next to me, Scott Steiner. So we all were real busy, man. People were glad to see us. And we were certainly glad to see them, man. At South Carolina, that Comic-Con was absolutely fantastic.
Look here, and a big thank you to Jeff Hardy for doing a little video piece for us. We certainly appreciate that. I know he's had a lot of people coming at him from all sides right now because he's just coming back into wrestling again. And so him taking the time, we certainly appreciate that. And it looks like you just had a great time, Teddy. I kept thinking, man, I should have been there. I should have just hopped in the car and gone. But all right, guys, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to do, of course, the thing we do every single week that everybody sends their emails in for. Ask Teddy.
This portion of the show is being brought to you by Edwina's Travel Service, serving this community since a week ago last Thursday. Remember our motto, if Edwina can't get you where you want to go, then go somewhere else.
And don't give me that look. Don't think you're getting at us by being cute. What, why are you handing me this? What is this, more trash? Better be a written apology. See this. Oh, look how big you are. Oh, this is very nice. Hey, we gotta get this framed. Put up at the top of the fridge. I can't stay mad at you, can I?
All right, welcome back to Road Trip After Hours. I'm Mac Davis along with WWE Hall of Famer Teddy Long, and it's that time of show where we go inside the mailbag to find out what you have to ask Teddy.
Letters, oh we get letters, we get your letters every day. Mailman, mailman, mail today. Reach right in and pull one out. Those letters, I love those letters. Let's find out what you got to say.
Oh boy!
Mailman, mail today.
All right, Teddy, here we go. Question number 1 comes from a Rick Rude fan from Twitterland. And he asked, any memories of ravishing Rick Rude?
Well, the only memories I have of Rick, what a great guy, man. Me and him rode together for a little bit, travel a little bit together. But what a nice guy, man. And, my wife, God rest her soul, she was a big fan of Rick's too. She always asked me about him, and he'd always ask me about my wife. So Rick Rude, just fantastic guy.
Was Rick a bit of a party animal? He always came across like he might have enjoyed his time after the being inside the ring.
Well, I don't know so much about the partying, but I know he enjoyed himself. He had a great time. So, like I said, my thing with that, I never was a party guy. So once the matches were over, basically, I always went back to my hotel, or either we would drive on to the next town, or either I'd get a beer or something and just take to my room. So I never did go to many of the bars and nothing. But Rude, like I said, he enjoyed himself. He had a great time, but he was just cool with it.
Was there anybody else in the early days of WCW, Teddy, that could rival his physique?
Well, yeah, I imagine. So, you had Luger there, who was certainly in tremendous condition at that time. Luger. Golly, man, there's a lot of guys back then that certainly that looked good. You know what I mean? But Rude, he was just lean. And
yes.
he had, just the body of just the perfectionist, man. So it's kind of hard to get like that. You can look good, but to be lean and like Rick Rude was, it called for a whole lot of training, and he did do a lot of that.
Yeah, and you also got to know what to eat, because you can't eat junk if you're trying to get a body like he had, because he was extremely lean. I mean, he was cut. Just
yes,
he was real cut. All right, let's see. Kendra in New Jersey wants to know, what did Vince McMahon say to you when he presented you with your Hall of Fame ring?
Well, him and Triple H there were with me, and they just presented it to me and thanked me, for the work and stuff that I've done for the company, and how great it was to be working with these two guys, man, and just letting me know what a good job I done, and so that was basically all I really needed to know.
Well, let me ask you something, Teddy. When it comes to the Hall of Fame, when they first started the Hall of Fame, they had all the nominees and the inductees on stage. And you could watch, as they would watch their other peers as they were accepting their awards. Nowadays, they kind of they let you come out like you did. You come out, you do your piece, and then you go to the back. You don't hang out with the boys on stage and watch the others. Do you miss that, or do you like it the way it is now?
I like it the way it is now. It's the way it was at the beginning, that consumed a lot of time.
Yes.
So you know what I mean? Basically, the way it is now, you get to this point A, point B, C, everything's right there, and you move right along. So I like it the way it is like that. Because what they had started doing, remember, once they did the Hall of Fame, then, the next night on Raw, they had all the inductees to come out and stand on the stage at Raw.
I just always liked the group of them up there, but I can see why. I mean, it is a time thing, but it was always fun to watch the guys react to the stories that were being told, especially some of the stories that they're like, oh, God, I didn't think you were going to talk about that one. But,
yeah. Well, you got to look at it. You got to look at it, too. Some of those guys are long-winded, and nobody wants to be standing up there waiting on some of these guys to get finished talking.
True. And I've always said the ones who talk the longest are the ones you really don't want to hear much from. So,
right.
All right, let's see. Nathan in Kenosha. We always hear people's opinions on the male wrestlers of Mount Rushmore. But who do you think belongs on the female version of Mount Rushmore? Basically, the top 4 females of wrestling.
Well, I'd say Chyna would be there with Lita, Trish Stratus, Jackie Moore, Jazz, all in between all those ladies right there. Those would be the ones that I would pick if I had to pick some.
Who do you think is the most influential female wrestler, Teddy? When I say that, I guess I'm trying to compare somebody to like a Hulk Hogan. And when you say the name, you're like, oh, yeah, that was a female wrestler. Is there one?
Well, there was one, and that was Chyna.
Yeah, I agree. Now, that's her and Mae Young and Fabulous Moolah are really the only 3 that jump out to me where somebody said it, oh, yeah, I knew who that was. It's just one of those names Right,
and the other thing, speaking of Moolah and Mae Young, it's just amazing, I had forgot all about this, but after my wife passed, I was going through, some pictures and stuff, and I found this picture of my wife right in the middle of Mae Young and the Fabulous Moolah. And, all I could think of, here's my wife, she's with 2 legends, and so that makes her a legend, too, for her to be right between those 2. And I happened to find that picture. I forgot all about it. Didn't even know me and her had taken. I didn't even know where it did that picture.
And that goes back to people saying you shouldn't take pictures of wrestlers and stuff in the back, especially if you're one of the guys. Bullshit. I mean, that picture right there brings back a great memory for you. And if you hadn't have taken it, you never would have thought about it again.
Well, my wife, I introduced her to them, and so they started having a conversation, and they loved her. I'll tell you another lady that loved her was Rock's mom. Every time she would see me, where's your wife? Your wife's here? So they took a liking to her. They loved her. Well, my wife would love to talk and jab on, and so she's easy. She was easy to get along with.
Yeah, sounds like my wife. Sometimes you can't get her to shut up. Let's see. I didn't say that, honey. Let's see. Ted in Texas asked, do you recall your first big-time title match as a referee?
Yeah, it was the Chi-Town Heat with Flair and Steamboat.
Did you and you ran in at the end of one match? Which match was that?
That was it.
Okay, I keep thinking did you ref one with Harley Race?
I believe I did. I can't remember who his opponent was, but I did work some matches with Harley.
Yeah, I kept thinking you went back as far as because I remember when I first saw you, you were working a match, if I'm not mistaken, with Harley. That's the first time I think I ever recall seeing you. All right, let's see. Kevin from Virginia has a name association game. You love these. So I'm going to give you some names, and you just give me your thoughts on that particular individual. If there's something, if there's not, just go move on. All right, here we go. First one. The Miz.
Outstanding.
Next one. Ooh, I like this. Dr. Death, Steve Williams.
Oh, man. Super duper, man. He was one of the guys that really helped me a lot when I was first breaking in. And I wish we had time if I could move away from the camera, but I do have a bag right now that Steve Dr. Death Williams brought me from Japan and gave to me as a present. And wow. I still have that bag right there as of this day. So Steve Dr. Death Williams, super duper, man.
He was a sure enough badass too, wasn't he?
Oh, yeah. He didn't play. I saw him pick a car up and move it out of his way. One time we were leaving center stage and these cars had him blocked in. So he went back to the back of the car. He picked up one, kept picking it up, moving it to the side till finally he could get his car out.
All right, here's another one for you. And this is another one reaching back. Buddy Landel.
Buddy Landel was all right. He was a character, man, but a great guy, nice guy. He just, Buddy, to me, Buddy didn't never grow up. He was just like a kid all the time. He always wanted to prank, just do. Butch Reed, God rest both of them. So Butch Reed was the one that kept him in line. I think Butch Reed had to beat him up one night because he took a glass bottle and broke the glass and threw it in the swimming pool at the hotel where people had to swim.
Oh,
so that kind of made Butch get hot. So him and Butch got in a fight that night about him breaking glass, throwing in the pool. But like I said, Buddy was a great guy. He was just a prankster.
He had his problems, and they hung around with him, unfortunately. So
yeah.
Let's see the other one. Now we got two more here. The next one is the Fabulous Freebirds.
I was more friends with Michael Hayes than I was with Buddy
Jimmy
Roberts and Terry Gordy. I met those two guys, but I had a chance to work with Michael a lot longer, because Michael worked backstage, and which he's still there in WWE as of this day. But I had a chance to work, more with Michael. But I knew Buddy and I knew Terry, and like I said, Michael Hayes was a great guy. Always helped me when I was in WWE. So all three of those guys were great to work with too.
What about Jimmy Garvin? Did you have a chance to work with Jimmy?
I worked with Jimmy Garvin when I put in WCW, probably NWA, when Jimmy Garvin was managing Precious when I was refereeing then in NWA, Jim Crockett. So I had a chance to work with Jimmy Garvin back then.
Yeah, Jimmy used to have this. For those of you who don't know, look it up on Google, whatever. But Jimmy Garvin used to have this head of hair. I mean, a great head of hair. And you see him nowadays at the conventions, and he looks just like Teddy and I. All that beautiful hair, gone. It's just gone. All right, Teddy, we got one more, and then that'll be it for the show here. Next name, last name, Roddy Piper.
Roddy Piper, another guy. Me and him always spoke, and we had a conversation vaguely every once in a while. But Piper, was always kind of a quiet guy. He didn't really talk a whole lot, in the locker rooms. But he was a nice guy. And what did I see him do? I think he had to beat up somebody one night. Oh no, I know what they did. I forget the guy, Dean Simon, I think that was his name. He did something with Piper. Oh, he took Piper's chair, or he done something. But Piper took all of his clothes and got all of his clothes and took them all and put them in the shower and drowned all his clothes, wet up all his clothes and stuff. So he had nothing to change in. And then when we had to leave that night, he had to travel with a bag full of wet clothes.
Oh, man. I tell you one story about Roddy Piper, and this is really the only story I have of Roddy. Roddy was one of the people who actually, when I first started in the wrestling business and I had a match, at the end of my first year, it was a cage match. Roddy saw that match, and Roddy had just started a website, and he called and asked permission. Actually, his webmaster called me and said, "Hey, Roddy wants to put this up on his website. Are you cool with this?" I was like, "Oh, hell yeah." Put it up there. And Roddy he did that for two different matches I had where he posted them on his website because he liked what he saw. And I'll never forget that because he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to reach out and give me any kind of publicity. And at that time, it was just websites. There weren't even, the social media wasn't here at that point. Websites were just breaking, and Roddy was trying to find content, and he liked what he saw. So I'll always remember that. Guys, we're out of time. That's it. Teddy, I've enjoyed this. It's always fun to get together with you on Road Trip After Hours, and we've got a lot coming up. I know on May 13th, we'll be in St. Louis, Missouri for a giant fan fest and a Hall of Fame.
Well, that's right, man. We're going to have a great time there. And also right before that, I think May 5th and 6th, I'm in New York for a big Comic-Con. I'll be putting that on my Facebook and too to let you know. But it's right up past Albany, I think Saratoga, New York, I believe.
What he's doing is he doesn't remember, so he's trying to make up stuff right now. You don't remember, do you, Teddy?
No, I don't.
I don't blame you, brother. I got too much going on up here right now.
Well, I know it's in Saratoga. Is that there, Saratoga, New York?
Sure, if you say there is, that sounds good.
Well, I may be calling the name wrong, so that's why I say I'm going to go back. I got a promo I got to cut for the show, so as soon as I cut this promo, I'll have it out there. You have the correct location.
Folks, we're out of time. We'll see you next week. This has been Road Trip After Hours. I've been your host, Mac Davis, and that is my co-host, WWE Hall of Famer Teddy Long.
Holla!